Like, you hear me? A lot of people talk about this whole life is suffering thing. They make a lot of evaluative claims that life is this sort of subjective principle. And, I guess life is encompassed primarily by suffering. I don't think there's any argument against that. And I'm not one to have some sort of redemptive philosophy about it. And that's just one thing I'd like to mention is redemptive philosophies. Is that these people, these sort of armchair existentialists and Christians and whatnot. I mean, people with not really Christians, but maybe more intellectually inclined Christians. These people that Freud talked about in chapter 2 of that Discontents book, where they try to resurrect the God of antiquity by converting him to some sort of abstract principle. Those types of intellectual, self-deceiving Christians. Just the people in general try to construe some sort of redemptive philosophy about life. They go from, because they're the fundamental basis or the foundation of what they're talking about is that, I can zoom out, so to speak, and I see that the only context to life, the only observable context, is a physical universe. So there's no practical meaning outside of, or there's no context for practical or teleological meaning. There's no externally imposed sort of endpoint or goal that I'm reaching towards. It's just it's really useless in every sense if there's not some sort of transcendental context. And so I think a lot of people, they entertain this transcendental thing, with sort of an existential agenda. The sort of ideal world of being or whatever. But a lot of people, they see these things. They see pretty much the futility of everything, of every action, and they take this and they decide, oh, I'm just going to reframe my goals or my immediate decisions, even though every decision, every action I've had before that, I could trace back to the penultimate context is practically and teleologically useless or meaningless. But when they decide to reframe their goals into doing, what? Doing some like mystical, I'm gonna live in the woods type thing. I'm gonna give some more money to the homeless. I'm gonna meditate. I don't see. I don't know. I don't really get this whole redemptive thing. It's you accomplish a goal to accomplish another goal. So even accomplishing these things, or even saying you're going to accomplish them, what really distinguishes them is for your own sort of what benefit. You might get a little. Your mind will be a little calmer at night. You won't have all these thoughts circling around, and it's so insincere. And I don't know. I think it's all this redemptive shit is so stupid. Nihilism has to be overcome because, of course, nihilism is some sort of personality defect. It's not just a neutral, logical fact that has to be, proven otherwise. And this whole transcendental context. If life could be expressed as meaningfully good, then the prospect of nihilism would be bad, or you could say meaningfully bad. You would say, okay, so nihilism is bad because life is meaningfully good, and I can test that. There's, um, I think a little more in depth about it, or when I think a little more in depth about it, and I think about God. What I go to some hedonistic sort of epilogue thing. I just go to some heaven, and that's meaningful. I get to talk to some people I knew who died again. That's what I'm aiming toward. And it's not really satisfactory for me. But yeah, no. Then you could. What if life is could be meaningfully bad, like a demiurge or whatever the fuck you call it. I mean, I don't know. I think this whole this whole nihilism has to be overcome thing coming from people who are sort of intellectually displaced. They don't necessarily believe in God, or if they do, it's I talked to this one guy. He's like, I don't really think about God as a father figure. I think of him more as an idea. These sort of people deal in abstracts, and and even worse cases, maybe they collect names of fallacious arguments, terms for that in their fucking pockets. I mean, these people are so ridiculous. Fuck them.